welcome back to the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. My name is Lauren.
And my name is Emily, and in this podcast we talk about all things Stranger Things.
Oh, I liked that one.
Thank you. I felt like it was very smooth.
Yes, I liked that. So this is episode 12, and it is also the final episode in September, which is wild that September is over now. And
I feel like I still say this every week once again, but it feels like it's still March. And
it's March 300. That's exactly what it is. So
there is no concept of time this year. It's just gone.
Like, fully would not care if I put the Christmas tree up at like the start of October. Like, we can just deal with that, you know?
Oh, I was celebrating Halloween in the beginning of September, so I'm halfway there.
Yes, so we're really excited because our October month is going to be really cool, full of spooky things, or like things that are a little bit, I want to say darker, like we're going to delve into some darker things as it is the month of the spooks and of the horror.
And we've also got something pretty fun planned for Halloween night, which is actually, I think it's a Saturday, isn't it?
It is a Saturday, which is very exciting. It's also typical that Halloween being a Saturday is the year in which no one can go out and celebrate Halloween.
It's almost like 2020 was like, let's kick you when you're already down.
Best holiday of the year, let's stop you from celebrating. But what you can do instead is listen to the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. So that'll give you...
It's almost as good.
It's almost as good. This is going up on Sunday. Sorry that this didn't go up yesterday, but there were just a couple of issues that meant that we couldn't get this up on Saturday as usual. So it's a rare occurrence that it goes up a day later, but just an apology. So what are we talking about today in the final September episode?
Today we're going to talk about what I believe is currently the last book in the Stranger Things extended universe, as we are coining it, which is Runaway Max.
Yes, so Max is my favourite character. I think I've said that a couple of times now on the channel. She's my favourite party member. So I was buzzed when I found out that there was going to be a book about Max, and I actually did really enjoy this book. It definitely has mixed reviews. There are definitely multiple opinions on this book and what people think about this book, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
So I had issues finding the book of Runaway Max. It just does not seem to be anywhere in any of the shops that I have been in. But I have read what I can about it. I've done as much research on it that I can. But what's good about this one is it follows pretty much directly right alongside season 2. So I'm going to be coming more from that angle of it and how it's going to fit in with what we already know within the show.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot different from Suspicious Minds and Darkness on the Edge of Town because it doesn't really have any new characters in it. It's not really something where we're learning about pre the show. There are some flashbacks, and you do get some flashbacks about Max's life before they move to Hawkins, but the majority of the book is set in Hawkins and when she moves there, when she meets the party and everything which is going on. So it gave us more of an insight, but it gave us an insight into things we already knew rather than learning about stuff we didn't know.
This is something that has been reflected in a lot of the reviews as well, actually. That I think, as you said, it has been mixed looking what's out there. Some people have been like, this is a really good companion book, but I think that's the key word there, that it is a companion book. You're not really going to get much new information from this, which, is something that a lot of people are picking up.
I think that you could read Suspicious Minds and Darkness on the Edge of Town without having seen the show, I think anyway, or having maybe only seeing like season 1. You could probably read Suspicious Minds or something like that, like, because it's not a separate story, but it's more of an original story because there's different characters, whereas this would not make any sense I don't think. I think
I suppose with Suspicious Minds, it's not gonna suddenly go. Terry was sitting here, and suddenly Mike Wheeler from Hawkins walks into it, and it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna suddenly be thinking, okay, but who is this person when we're pretending that we know who they are?
Yeah. Whereas this, you have to know who they are to know why the story works the way that it works. So this is definitely a for the fans of Stranger Things novel compared to the other two. I think. I mean, they all are for fans of Stranger Things, obviously, but I think this is definitely, and it's shorter as well. It's the shortest one, so that kind of goes along the lines of companion novels. You know, you see those books and it's like the book of the film. Like it's that essentially.
What I think is quite interesting about this one, and I'll bring it up now because we seem to be kind of going there in the conversation, is that I'm not quite sure when they wanted you to read this.
Yeah.
Because it came out a month before season 3. So I think we found it was the 4th of June. So
it was literally a month before, yeah.
A month. But a lot of the things that happened in season 3 make a lot more sense having read the book. And that's purely the Max and Billy storyline. Because I don't know about everyone, but I remember watching season 3 and thinking, hold on, why is Max suddenly now really cool with Billy? Or like to the point where it was just you didn't have that animosity that was there in season 2.
Yeah.
Like Max in season 2 wouldn't be caring as much about Billy as she would have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there was definitely it just because it gives you a big insight into their relationship, I think, and there wasn't always that animosity there from the get-go. I don't think Max first met Billy and thought I hate him straight away. I think because she talks about how she was going to have a brother and they were going to be a family and there was going to be this whole family dynamic that was great, and she met him and his car was really cool and all of this stuff, and like she has always sort of had that not love for him, but she does want him at first to like her and to get on with them. So I think it makes everything a lot worse to see the route that Billy actually goes down. And yeah.
I think that's something that frustrates me then at a point with it, because this is a general thing. I remember this coming up online, I think on Reddit and places like that when this book first came out, but there was a big discussion then that are we going to go into Max's backstory within the show? And it does make me think that I mean, obviously they want you to read A Suspicious Minds, but did they really want you to read this book?
Yeah.
And that this is just a thing for me. Then I think that why couldn't this be included with the show? And I do get it, but especially if it's, I don't know, it's going to sound harsh, but I don't quite understand why it was needed.
Yeah, and also and also like you said about finding it really hard to get hold of, I had to get this book as an import because it doesn't have a wide UK release yet. So for it to be only widely released in the US and Canada, I didn't get this book until this year.
Yeah.
It was like just before lockdown happened, or maybe the end of last year. It wasn't before the show came out anyway. I'd seen season 3, I'd had it like for a while. Season 3 had been out for a while. So I read this book post season 3, and you think, well, if people wanted you to read it, why wasn't it explored? If this information is something that we needed to know, why wasn't it explored in the show? Because not everybody is going to have the means to get this book whereas they live and financially, and so I think, why is it considered like necessary information? I just said that with quotation marks, and then I forget that people can't always see me doing this thing. But yeah, I don't know, like I liked the backstory that we got, and I liked seeing things from Max's perspective, and I think that she's a really good character, but I think the things they did explore could have been explored in the show a little bit more especially from season 2 when they had a bigger budget.
I suppose then the only argument for that then that we know that season 4 is shooting at some point tentatively because of the current climate, I guess.
Exciting though. They would have been finished by now, which is really sad. Obviously, global pandemic, much more important. But it's nice to see that things are starting up again and that they can get back into filming so that we can see what's going to happen in season 4, which is a series I'm very excited about. But that's not this podcast.
Yeah, because we were talking about just before this about how we think they must to make it work alongside season 2. They must have worked very closely then with Netflix to see what they can and what they can't say. And the only thing I can think of then is that is this going to be something that's going to be really heavily explored in season 4? And is that why it's pretty much a kind of, I don't want to say bare bones because it's not bare bones, but do you know what I mean? There's nothing too new here. So is it kind of like we can't touch this because we're going to bring it up at a later point?
Yeah, this feels a lot more, I don't want to say like restricted, but it's very clearly following a guideline of something that already exists. So the show season 2 already existed. So the book's being written for something that already exists. So there's not as much liberty as there is with Suspicious Minds or Darkness on the Edge of Town, because that was creating new characters which are probably not going to play a part in the show. So Gwenda Bond and Adam Christopher would have had a little bit more freedom, because that was creating new characters which are probably not going to play a part in the show. So Gwenda Bond and Adam Christopher would have had a little bit more freedom because they could create characters that they know are not going to contradict things that have happened within the show already. So there's like a lot more freedom, whereas this felt like there was a wall up either side of the novel and you couldn't go outside of that little metaphorical wall, because
I suppose you couldn't have Max suddenly running into Will in the field while he is mid being possessed and be like, Will, no, and then being taken over herself. You
yeah. I mean, that would be really interesting and very wild, but yeah, no, that's not something that can be done. And I think that was obvious in the book. As much as I did enjoy it, it felt like that. It didn't feel like I was reading a story told by Brenna Novanoff, who wrote the book. It felt like she was just like narrating season 2 in a way, not to that extent, but like it wasn't. I'd like to read more of her books to see the way she